So here.
Okay.
So we're in.
Pull you over here so I can look at you better.
So this is DW test. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So oops.
Okay. Was that them right there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So let's pull it up. Yeah. Okay.
We have 40 records.
I think that sounds probably right. All right. So let's just do star. Let's select star out of them instead of DAP result detail degree. Let's just do star so we can see the whole thing. Okay. All right. So, and I wanted to go real slowly through this. So you see the first 5 things, the first 5 columns or fields are the ID, type, school, degree, and active term. If we would run this again, if we rerun the DAP 25 process, it's going to wipe out these 40 records and recreate 40 more, or however many more is appropriate for whatever flags we have set. Okay, let's just why don't you add a line, or you can do it here from your results. Just sort it by DAP result type, just so we can kind of keep them all together. You should be able to click on DAP result type and sort it that way, or you can just say order by DAP result type.
Yeah, so now we have audit ID.
So again, like I said yesterday, that DAP audit ID happens every time, no matter what things you have turned on. Block GPAs happen every time, no matter what you have turned on. There's some good data right there in block GPA. Let's kind of start with that. You've got DAP value 1 for block GPA is for that block's % complete. So and then following it out, value 2 is the GPA for that block. Value 3 is the grade points in there. Value 4 is what type of block it is. And then you'll see those numbers, and it's just the same thing as value 1, 2, and 3, but those are in an actual numeric format. Okay. So if you wanted to know how many students have a certain % complete of their gen ed requirements, you could run this for a large group of students and then look for DAP value 4 equals other, and you would probably want to then tie it also to gen ed, which we would know from that DAP requirement ID there to the left. That's their scribe block. So you would have to work with your scribe team to say, okay, what block is the gen ed block? And if they would say, okay, 564, so you could say value 4 equals other, requirement ID equals 564, and then how many students are 100% complete. You can also, if you recall yesterday, I said you could get a quick return on how your % completed just for DAP audit detail. You certainly can, and I recommend doing it that way. As you can notice here, you could also get that same information from DAP result detail. You could say we want a DAP result type people block GPA, DAP value 4 equals degree, and then how many, what's their % complete rate. So that's there. Then let's talk about the class applied results. Class applied has, again, the RA number in there. It has the rule ID and the sequence number. I've really never been able to glean much out of that. But what you can discuss more is the information in value 1, value 2, and then value 3. Value 1 obviously is a course, 2 is the number, and then value 3 is an ID that could tie then to DAP Res class detail. We're going to look at that here in just a minute. And then finally, the DAP free text gives you, that course number and name and number in a free text type alignment. We'll come back to class applied here in a minute, but if you'll move on down, Jeff. So fall class applied, kind of like what the name implies. Those are their fall through classes. Again, same kind of thing. DAP value 1, value 2 is the course name and number. Value 3 ties back to res class. And then value 4 is either going to be ECA overflow or ECA OK. And that's what, Melody, you had reported against in the past. So you could then, if you wanted to run this report and say, anybody that's anybody that's over ECA overflow is not going to get paid by CPOS. Okay. The fall CRCL is just a summary. That's just a summary of all of your of the fall through. Fall non-class, I may have told you wrong on that one. So fall through electives, fall through and electives non-course applied. Okay, value 1 is the code. So you must have, I'm not sure why GPA is falling in there. That's interesting. And so you got UWSR and WST. Okay, well that's good to know. That's interesting because those actually will tie back to that table, DAP non-res class detail. So we can take a look at that as well. All right, so does everybody understand how those tables got created? And then, how those fields those records got created in that table? It was based on what we had checked off and what we didn't have checked off. Okay.
I can see how this table can grow massively.
Yeah. It can be it can be a bear, as you guys saw firsthand.
Well, and we have so many students that have so many degrees too. So it's creating those records for each degree. So it's very common for our GE patterns to be as a cert, which means that students, a large majority of our students have at least 2. They have a degree and a cert.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then multiple degrees because we're getting paid more for it. No, the state finally changed that. So that's no longer additional funding.
Oh, okay.
It was for a brief period of time.
Okay. Well, and what I recommend, okay, so Jeff is running this one student at a time. What I recommend is use Transit and do a pop cell, do some type of group. And, we keep talking about your CPOS students, but I think that's a good example. You had to run a pop cell when you ran them through CPOS. Use that same pop cell here.
Yeah, we get the pop cell from our financial aid folks.
Yeah, so you should be able to
our financial aid students
give you that list of IDs and run them in Transit like you've done here. Let's take a look now at DAP Res class detail. So you can kind of, Jeff, do the same type of selection there. Select star from DAP Res, RES class, RES class underscore detail. And then let's use the same thing. I think it would be DAP's 2ID and DAP degree. Let's go ahead and do that also for Mel. And actually, in our case right now, not putting an ID number doesn't matter because Melody's the only one out there.
So it's a total of 44 records.
Yeah, that should match the number from the fall through, it should match the number of fall through plus applied is what it should match there. Okay. So as you can see there, we've got just more information on each of those classes. You've got, when the class was taken, the CRN number, the grade they made on it, the status, if it's a transfer course or not. And does it have anything about fall through on here? And I'm cheating. I've got the document pulled up next to me. So full disclosure, I've got the advanced reporting manual next to me.
You said that there was a non-res, right?
There is. There's another table called non-res detail. And I don't think there's, I think it's just non-res, not class.
Oh, non.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's it. Yeah, non-res, now RES. No, non-res, non-RES.
okay, like that.
Try that. And I maybe. Oh, I told you wrong. Let me tell you right. Hang on. Non-course, maybe non-CRS. My bad. Non-res. Dang it! I was all off. Jeff, I'm going to put it in the chat window.
Okay.
DAP res non-CR detail.
Non-CR.
My mouth is moving faster than my brain.
Res non-CR. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And you probably didn't clear this one out earlier. Yeah.
No, I didn't actually.
So
Yep.
we'll need to do that. So why don't you just put Melody's ID number in there?
Seven 708 680.
704 680.
Oh yeah, 4.
One number off.
There we go.
And so these are all of, I guess, test scores maybe that you guys have been putting in, GPAs, test scores.
I know we do have the test scores, and we have a keyboarding pseudo rule too. Very few.
Okay.
There are some.
So that's what got pulled in there for you on that. Okay. I can say I really have never reported anything out of here. It's always kind of forget this table, but you probably want to clear it out too, since you've cleared everything else out.
Okay. Yeah, we do that.
Okay. While you're driving, Jeff, let's go ahead and why don't you open up controller and somebody tell him what table to go to that we want to modify to change to what records we get created.
DAP 22.
No, close though. Go to controller. It always starts at CFG 020, Melody. If you say that on 90% of the time, you're right. So.
That's true. But we did modify DAP 22 for the first one that you ran, right? The results table?
That's right. Yeah, that's what he's got to run DAP 22. You're right. He's got to run DAP 22. But so the steps are modify the results flags, then run DAP 22, then take a look at your results. So now let's go ahead and we'll leave those flags turned on that are on. Let's go ahead and build. So yeah, you're in the right place. He's in CFG 020 results.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's now turn on, I usually turn on the insufficient section. And,
Can we do a search? Yes, we do.
No. You're fine right here. Okay. So let's just start from right here. Go ahead and typically we'll kind of walk through the things that you normally have set. So build catalog year and goal data. So make that one yes. And it's not going to do a whole lot. You're just going to get a record for every one of your blocks, and it's going to have more information in it with that. Bill fall through, you got that. Build over the limit, make that one yes. Build insufficient, make that one yes. Skip that one. Let's go to the next one. Build block header credits needed.
Block header credits, classes applied.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the document up on that part too, just to walk us through which one we want. Okay. Build block header credits applied. Turn that one to yes. I would move on down now to the build block label and percent. And then the
build a
course
block
rule
advice.
advice. I now would move on down to the course. Let's see, build block type label. Yeah, no, you don't need to turn that one. Okay, go down to the bottom now. And those bottom two, you want to turn those two on. Build course rule details. I'm not sure what that one is. That's build course rule details. Let's go ahead and turn that one on as well. Okay, save that. So again, step one, CFG 020 results and composer. Now step two is the DAP 22. So I'll let you run it again, Jeff, and then let's maybe get somebody else to run DAP 22.
Okay. CFG 704680. And continue. Read audit. Graduate. Freeze, no. Output.
So make sure in your notes, you make sure you select no output and make sure you check off that build audit results. Those are the key things here. Okay. All righty. I wonder if when you get a chance, if let's pop over and look at your, so go back into the database now. Let's look and see how many records are in that res class. Can you just do a count on that one right there, that res non-credit detail?
This one.
Yeah, that's not very many. Well, let's see. Do non-res. Do that same thing for non-res. Those are the ones that we just did for Melody right there.
Yeah, and the unres did not get truncated. So.
Right. That's why I'm wondering if that's why that cleanup is still taking a long time.
Oh, CR. Well, we can truncate it real quick and then try it again.
Yeah, that's not that. I mean, that's not extremely allowed. Go ahead and truncate it to whenever you can.
Label. DAP. Should be. Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that being notwithstanding, what I want you to look at now is to go back up there where you did the result type right there. So we've, again, walked through the steps. We've made changes to the table. We ran DAP 22 with that flag set. And so Jeff, run that right there. That one you have right there. So now she's got 136 records out there. Does everybody see that? So it does get out there.
So it pulled in more of the rules or the.
That's correct. So let's go ahead and, yeah, some of those, see, I don't think we really want a lot of those. So order it again by result type. Yeah. Okay. So those things that were, since we didn't turn anything off, those records that were already there, what was it, 80, 88 or something like that? They're still there. Yeah. But actually they got deleted and recreated is what happened. So all those classes applied are still there. And now we've got this thing called class needed. So let's look at those real quick. Okay. So you see that the class, you have the DAP result type is class needed. DAP value 1 and 2 is the course. And then DAP value 4 is something called may take, or it might say must take, or it might say can't take. And then over to the DAP pretext. All right, let me explain that, because that's really critical as you're doing your reporting. So all of these classes are classes that Melody has to take. Jeff, can you go ahead and pull up the audit for her as well in another window?
And I noticed the may take, so those blocks that we have like 20, 30 options to take,
yes,
they're all going to list. Oh,
that's right. That is exactly painful. Right. So, yes. So, no, I meant Jeff, her audit or that we view in DegreeWorks.
Oh, the actual audit?
Yes. Melody is a step ahead of us, though, because she's already figured out what that is. So, and this is key as you're doing reporting. So if your academic folks say, we want to know how many students have to take a particular class, so get it down to where we've got some classes that she has right there. Okay, so looking at her audit, it says one class in ACC 2110. So over here, where is 2110? ACC 2110 is down there, kind of at the bottom a little bit. On the, so leave that right there, Jeff, and now pop over to where we can see that. Okay, you see where ACC 2110 right there says may take.
2020?
Yeah, and then below that, there's a 210.
Oh, yeah, 210.
And 210 is a may take. So let's go back to her requirements. So go back down. You were at the right place. So let's kind of
so here's ACT.
Look at this a little bit more. And actually, I'm questioning why it's saying may take right there, is what I'm doing.
Because there's a hidden course, because we changed the course numbering from business to accounting. And so in the actual scribe, there is an or in there. Okay. So maybe, Jeff, if you don't mind, would you look at the diagnostics report? So up there under format, if you'll choose diagnostics report, that'll tell us. Thanks, man, Melody, I would have been scratching my head over that one. So go all the way down to, I think that's the major block. We can actually see what's scribed in there. Keep going down a little bit. Okay, so right there. Okay, so you see the requirement. It's
And for those of you that haven't seen a scribe before, what's that saying is, if you take either accounting 210 or business 210, it satisfies this requirement. Same underneath there, if you take accounting 220 or business 220, it satisfies that next requirement. Okay, then the third one there, you see it says business 126. That's the only option to satisfy that requirement. And then below that, Econ 101 is the only option. Go back over here to our table now, and in here. So you see that the ACC 210 and Business 210 are both may takes. So what that means is they may take Business 210, they may take ACC 210. Either one of those satisfies that requirement. However, if you look at Business 126, right there above you a little bit, it's a must take.
Right.
And it's must take because that's the only option they have there. So I guess the moral of the story I'm trying to get across here is that if you're asked to do a report, tell someone how many classes are required, you may want to couch that with Business 220 is required for so many students as an option. It's not, your numbers are going to be off if you just say 100 people need Business 220. Well, they may need Business 220 or Accounting 220. So you have to be careful in that respect as you're doing that. So what I'll usually say is I'll say in a report like that, 120 times or whatever, 100 times Business 126 is a required course, and maybe 100 times AC Business 220 is an option, is one of the courses a student can take. And you have to be very careful because your academic folks are not going to maybe understand that lingo as much as what you now see as you're seeing internally what's going on here.
What I see is helpful, or this would be helpful, is if showing them the plan data versus the requirement data. So if we could show them, okay, you have 100 accounting 210 or business 210 as options, but from as far as the plan data goes, we're seeing that those seats are projected or this course is planned is X number. And that can help them see, let's face it, we have advisors that are peddling certain courses over others. Mm-hmm. So if there are different options, they can see what options are not being peddled.
Ooh, I never thought about that. We had a huge problem with that too, Melody. I mean, I never thought about that as something you can get out of the two data, put the data together, but you're absolutely right. And going back to what you were saying at the beginning there, this is why when I want to do forecasting data, I would much rather use the planner data because that's going to be, in my opinion, more accurate. As opposed to something like this to say, okay, let's take that bottom one there. Nursing 219 has been planned X number of times for the spring of 2020, as opposed to nursing 219. You can get the data from both places, but it may say that may be a may take requirement for many students. Although nursing, you can probably get, those are probably all required courses. So that's, you kind of have to know your catalog as well.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was a nursing major. This is news to me.
Well, Dennis put you into a new plan.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
As you can see, it is done by guest 2.
Yeah, it's my moonlighting career.
Yeah. And so the third option that you could see here is a can't take. And I don't know if any of your scribe rules have that in there, but if you have a situation that says maybe one class in English @ except English 100, well then English 100 would be a can't take. And so that's where that comes in.
We haven't taken advantage of that one yet.
Okay. So that's, we probably need to adjust that a little bit. We still don't really need a lot of those CRCL needed going out there, although I don't know if you can get away from that. go back, Jeff, if you don't mind, to the database. Let's see what else you have out there. So let's keep moving down. So that's the class needed records. If you will, move to the right and it'll kind of show you the DAP free text on these. It doesn't really tell you a whole lot. I'm sure with enough wherewithal, you could probably tie all that together with the rule IDs and all that to mean something, but I wouldn't worry with that.
Well, I think if there's anything that could be turned off just to keep the space requirement a little bit softer.
So that label, those labels don't help that much either. So let me make a note. We need to turn that label off.
So then I guess it's a matter
from any rule
of taking this label, mapping it to the switch. Right?
You could. I mean, you could map that somehow, but normally you're not. You're going to be looking at the class applied, class needed, and then maybe the goal information. If you'll look up, I think there was some. Was there some other goal data information? If you'll keep going up from that one flag we turned on, there's some block data. Keep going. Typically the class applied, class needed, those are the big things. So here's the block CRCL needed. So that could give you some indication of, if you don't mind going up a little bit, Jeff, how many credits you're needing, or how many have been applied. And the way that works, if you'll actually move over to the left, there should be like a sequence number. So if you base it off the top level sequence number, and it would be that other one, that block sequence number, in the column just to the left there, that's typically the degree. So that should tie back to that top level in their audit. How many credits are applied or how many credits are needed.
Yeah.
So I think we can turn off a couple of things if you want to go back to, everybody remind me where it is that you're turning them off at. FG020.
Oh.
And results. And let's see if we've got any labels. Anything that says label, we're going to turn that off.
Label. Block label.
What is? Yeah. That was it. Okay, I missed that. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know the build the course advice. Yeah, that says class needed, so we'll have to keep that one. Okay.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Okay, save that. We should be in good shape. And just as a matter of principle, can somebody else run DAP22 now to just so that you're used to doing that?
I have it open.
You have it open. So let's let Melody take over sharing then.
Oh, okay, let's share. Oh, I did not mean to do that.
Yeah, I think one of our challenges, Dennis, is to have all the resources to do all this.
Yeah,
manpower.
Right. Reporting was, in fact, even in my area, we didn't have enough institutional research people, and I ended up writing a few of the reports.
I'm in the wrong place, aren't I?
You need to be in transit. No, you're right. You're right. But but not in admin.
Ah, that's what it is. Okay.
Jeff, I don't know if you saw the fancy stuff that Melanie did while you were away earlier, but we did a few things to your labels there to make it stand out a little better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, did you see, Jeff? Look, I'll show you real quick. Here. Alex did one too. That was pretty fun. Did you leave it, Alex?
Yeah, it should be there.
You see the
Oh,
stars?
okay. Oh, got it.
And then
Oh.
hammer time.
Hammer time.
All right.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, DAP 22. Just for me, right?
Mhm.
And this one, no output.
Yeah.
Was
Um,
there?
You don't have to do that.
Sort?
And
Oh, okay.
Okay, that button right there. So let's
Mhm.
talk about that.
Okay.
If you leave it unchecked, what it's going to do is go out there and basically if you leave it unchecked and have that other one checked, it's running a DAP 25. It's going to go out there. It's going to look for DAP audit detail, what equals new, and it's going to run the DAP 25 for that particular student or group of students you just selected, but not create a new audit. Now, for you, Melody, if we did not check that right now, I don't think anything would happen because we haven't run a new audit yet. We haven't gone out and run a new audit.
Right, we're
I
just
like
change
to
the
just go ahead and
parameters.
click it every time just to be on the safe side. And so when you do click it, you've got that sub-level menu that you have to select undergraduate, since that's the only choice. And then, it's up to you if you want to include those other things.
Internal notes? What would that be?
That's the notes, like if advisors put in notes, and you can designate a note as internal or being viewable by a student. Go ahead and select a freeze type if you want. Let's see.
There's a bunch of them. I was a little surprised to see this list.
That's a UCX table. You guys probably ought to clean that out.
Yeah.
Because you're not using all those. You probably got a handful that's all you need to have.
Is frozen? I saw this one because I had a frozen one earlier, and I believe this was the type.
Yeah, I used that one the other day.
Oh, you did? Okay. Anything else, or does it look good?
I think it looks good.
Okay. Launch away.
Okay. So Jeff, it's still, that cleanup should be gone almost immediately. So I think I'm going to make that a note that that's an issue as well.
Or maybe that's a feature.
Yeah. Spoken like a true IT person.
Optimistic. Okay, then I need to stop sharing so he can pull up the results,
so
right?
Let's pull up now from Jeff's, kind of do the same thing.
SQL developer.
Yeah. And just run the same thing again, our asterisks. Okay. 135 rows. I don't remember what your last run was, but it should be a few less. We should have a few of those labels not out there. Let's confirm that.
Yeah, I thought it was like 140 something last time.
Okay.
But
okay. We still have a couple of labels, so we still have some labels coming from somewhere.
yeah, that's a lot of records too.
Yeah, and we need to get rid of all those. So let's, Jeff, let's look at the CFG 020 again. You got a few windows open there. Results. Okay, so hang on. Bill Blockheader credit classes needed. Bill Blockheader. Those should be okay. Go keep going. It don't mind. Course rule. Course rule details. I think that's the one, that course rule details. I was speaking highly of their document, but now with this new version of controller, they've changed some of the wording here, but they didn't change the document. So the document description of these yes, no, these, even the titles don't match the document right now. Okay. As long as you save it, that's what we all need to do right here. Just press save. Make sure that goes into play. Okay. Okay, Melody, you want to do your thing again? And we don't have to necessarily, I mean, you just do the exact same thing again.
Oh, okay.
And Jeff, we can just. We'll give it a little bit. What was it, 135?
Okay, it's in cleanup again.
Okay. Okay, 112 this time.
Much better. Getting there.
Yeah. Go back up, Jeff. I think we could probably turn off that CRCL required too. It's really not telling us anything.
I think it was just telling us classes versus units, if I recall correctly, if you go over to the freeform text.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, like you said, that's not really.
Now that one, unfortunately, those get pulled in with that build rule advice. And that's where class needed also gets pulled in. But the CRCL required, that's that very last field. Yeah, I think save that. Okay, Melody, you want to do your thing?
I already started. Hold on.
Okay. And this is just the way I usually will do my reporting testing, is just like what we're doing here. Change some field values, run it, look at the database, make changes necessarily, run it. And then when you're ready, take the big group of students and turn it on and run it for that big group.
Okay, it's in cleanup.
Okay. All right, down to 89. Good. So think that's probably about where you want to be right there.
Yeah, we about cut it in half.
Yeah, yeah. Now you'll have the same number, or it won't be exactly the same, but you'll have a similar number if you look at DAP degree equals cert. So that's and as far as you're concerned, that's you're not gonna be able to really get away from that because you've got 2 degrees out there. Let's do this. Hang on one second. I want to find this one student. And okay, Melody, would you run this student that you're, and I think this is that student that 702667,
Okay.
the Christy Gonzalez student.
Yeah.
Okay. Run them through, and so Jeff, if you'll change your search to pull this particular student up.
Okay, it's done.
Oh, and I'm sorry, they have a different degree.
Oh.
Just comment out that one.
Yeah.
Looks like they actually have 2 degrees out there as well.
Told you. It's a majority.
AS?
Yeah, let's look at their AS. Okay. I'm moving my mouse. It's not doing any good. But if you'll move down. And what I wanted to show you, so they've got a lot of May takes as well, but look at the that AHP there and the Spanish. So really wanted to kind of point that out to you. That's the difference in what you'll see in the CPOS when you run it. So that class is good. The other classes are not good in terms of CPOS.
So the CPOS is somewhat working, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this isn't really, this is kind of, it's not really even CPOS, it's baseline DegreeWorks. And all it's saying is you've got, so apparently you guys or your registrar's office, whoever did your scribing, turned on ECA checking, which is good. I mean, that's what we recommend. And so really all CPOS does now is go out to DegreeWorks and looks for these classes in the ECA bucket, the fall through bucket, and then writes them back to that SFRSTRCR or whatever that table is, that financial aid table, with either an okay value or a yes no value as to whether or not it's within their degree. So
CPOS was pretty much good to go. Our issue was STEM, so our non-basic skill math, hidden prereqs, and then our athletic courses. But for the most part, we were ready to turn it on.
Yeah, so when you turn it on, then it actually will take those courses, put them in the SFR, STR, and then actually pay the students based on that. So and that's really where the financial aid piece comes in. But your DegreeWorks part looks like it is working, yeah.
Yeah, it's catalog changes more than anything else. It's needing to make them actually put if they're going to, if Chem 100 is a prereq of 200, which is a prereq of 220, then we need to make them put 100 and 200 on the program for the catalog.
Yeah.
That's a catalog issue in my mind, not a system issue.
Yeah, and that happens with a lot. We had the same thing. We had a couple of courses that you had to take a prereq for, and then, you know, it could possibly drop out. We never actually turned CPOS on either, though. And we were audited, and DOE told us we needed to. So.
Yeah, I think everyone's waiting until they're being forced, and now that we are, we're like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good highlight there, Jeff. So his requirement is anything with that attribute. So. Okay. How do you guys feel about DAP result detail?
The tables themselves totally understand. My issue still circling back is how often can we run this? What type of storage issues are we looking at? If we do the financially pop cell, is that going to be too big? I mean, what if I create reports off of this, how up to date will they be? Is this something that we should only be running monthly or more frequently? That kind of conversation.
So a couple ways to answer that. If you want them to be totally up to date, I would turn that process on in the background and let it run. Now, I'm going to say that and then turn around and say, that's going to fill up your database. But
that's what Jeff's afraid of.
Once you run it once, now I don't think it'll fill up 37 million like you already had it. But once you run it once, those 22,000 records that we saw out there are now going to not be, they're not going to get recreated over and over again. So what you may want to do is kind of go around the system and modify all those news to result or to old, and then just have that thing running in the background all the time. Now, I say that, Jeff, I wouldn't do that until we figure out why you're getting a new DAP22 run every night.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to keep running those over and over again.
Right.
Okay, so once that's fixed, then it's possible to get to run it in the background. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be like Christmas.
Did that make sense about what I said about turning it, modifying, going into the database and modifying that value, Jeff? Go back over there to the database and do that. Look for that. It's DAP audit detail. We're going to look for that what again?
DAP what? Sorry, every time you say what, it makes me think of it.
DAP audit. Yeah, I thought we did one here.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I could have sworn you did. Yeah. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, well, there's that. That's for the percent complete.
It was smaller. It was shorter. It's only a couple of lines, I thought.
Yeah, you can just say DAP, select all. You're going to have a lot. I mean, you ran it a while ago and it was 22,000. But you could go into the database right there, Jeff. You know, look for everything that's DAP what underscore what equals new and change it to result or old. And it won't create CPOS data or won't create CPA data for those records anymore. Otherwise, it's going to just keep trying to create CPA data. Let's do that real quick. Okay, go do a select count on DAP result detail.
A DAP audit, you said?
Okay, so say it's a DAP audit detail, you have 150,000. Now say on that, Jeff, just add it and say where DAP what equals new.
Yeah, 22.
22,253. Okay, now do this. Do a select star on, do a new, let's say a new, start a new select here. Because now let's look at DAP result detail. Let's just do a count on DAP result detail. and no where statement.
Yeah,
DAP result detail, not DAP audit.
Oh, DAP.
Result
Oh.
detail. Okay. You're probably only going to have, so that's Melodies and this other Christy Gonzalez. That's the only ones you have out there right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
With your putty session or whatever you have to get onto your server, get back into the command line. You can just say exit and type in res start.
Press start.
Mm-hmm. So you started DAP 25. It's running in the background now. Okay. Now go back up there and start doing your other commands again. And maybe give it a few minutes. So go back to your database now, and do that one again.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Yeah, something's happening out there now.
Wow.
Hit it again. Yeah, so see, you've got things going on. Go up to select count, your select count on DAP audit detail now. See what that number is.
With the, for the new?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 2186.
Yeah, and it was 22,253. So it's cycling through all these. So go back to your, let's turn it off now. And the command is just res stop. Yeah. So that thing just works in the background. And it's really not a system hog. I mean, it's a low level, low priority item. But even in that 5 minutes that it was running, see, it was trying to process all those 22,000 DAP news.
So you're
what
saying
I'm saying is, I'm sorry, say that again.
If we were to change the news to result,
yes, yeah,
then that would keep this number from climbing so quickly.
That's correct. Yeah, you were reading my mind. Yeah, that's exactly right. So if you would just go in there and change those to by hand to result, but every night it's going to run however many students that got audits created that day or that night, then those would get created with that res command. One of the schools I work with, UT Rio Grande Valley, they've got 17,000 students. They run DAP 25 constantly.
See, it's possible.
Yeah. So, and I mean, their tables were full when we first started working with them. I don't know, a year and a half or so ago when I started working with them, they had millions of records out there. We kind of did the same process, fixed what things to turn on. I don't know how many are in their tables right now. In fact, I'm talking with them Monday. Maybe I'll ask them again. But they use it. They run CPOS and they run reports off of this to get CPOS reports.
So Melody, do you recall if Sierra was running reports off of the CPA or off the database directly?
Yes, they've done extensive work with their CPA tables, but they did say it was a bear to go through all the setup and to make them useful, but they are making use of them.
Okay.
Because they're doing the auto awarding too. So they're using their DegreeWorks data quite a bit more than we are, but they've invested quite a bit of resources in it too.
Right. Which is typical of us. We don't invest the manpower.
It's you've got to have someone interested in that to be able to get to do it. So.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
DAP audit detail. Everybody good with it now? That's still your main one, and you can do auto awarding just based on DAP audit detail.
Well, I think we have your pager number, Dennis.
I mean, I think all we would need to show them is how many we could award. Like if we were able to show them that victory, especially now that it's tied to funding, where we said, okay, by the way, we set up these reports and we see that we have X number of students that earned a degree but have not taken action. I think we can get that support because now it equals money.
Yeah.
Pays for itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All righty. In my PowerPoint, I have a couple of other things, but in terms of reporting, like the exceptions, there's a table. The exceptions actually get put in DAP result detail as well as their own table. But in all honesty, there's an exceptions report. That's really the only report that exists canned. Your users probably just use it, but just remember there's an exceptions table as well. But in the PowerPoint, I have some slides on that as well. As the SQL file I'm going to send you has actually a SQL, some code that I stole from eCommunities that does something with exceptions. So
that's where I got mine.
Take a look. Yeah.
The exceptions, would that be like when they go in and override a particular requirement with another? Okay. So it could be a way to audit those overrides.
Yeah, and then so like I said, there's actually a canned report that can tell you how many exceptions you've put in. I'll run that real quick.
That's cool.
Just to show you. So who's ever doing your exceptions should have access to it. I may not have access to do. Looks like I don't have. There's an exceptions. Oh, I don't. There's another exceptions. There's an
Jeff, do you know? Does she give the evaluators that right too, or is she the only one that has it right now? Vicky, do the evaluators have exception power?
I don't recall.
It's one of those things where I think she would love to give it to them, but obviously it's making sure it's not abused. And this could be a way if we give her a report to where they can do it, and then she just runs it to see what exceptions they're making. She might like that.
Yeah. So I don't recall how they got that set up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's exactly what I did is I was the only one and my assistant, we could do exceptions and nobody else could, but we got a ton of them. And so every once in a while I would run a report out of there and hand it to those deans to say, hey, we're making an exception for this class so many times. Why don't you just make it a requirement?
Just change the catalog already.
Yeah. And then the hidden, that was before hidden was an actual option. And when that came along, that was kind of a game changer. Then I said, you can even hide it where the students don't even see that it's an option. And then they did agree to add that into the hidden rule. That just saved the student trouble and me trouble and everybody else.
That's a good point. That's another great use for it. That's a good idea. Because there are common exceptions being made. Yeah.
So you can it's in the table too. There's a table of exceptions, but I just used the canned report since they had it. So, okay, that's about what I have, folks. Anything else? Any questions or anything, Jeff, or anybody?
Well, the other little last item is kind of how do you manage, or is there best practice for managing frozen audits? Because I know that the ones who do evaluations, they do quite a bit of freezing.
Okay.
And
they can get out of control, and if they've given that access to a lot of people, then they can be a lot. I think it was even UTRGV that had tens of thousands of frozen audits out there. What you can do, and this is what I was mentioning the other day that Dave Neal did it for a school, is they went through the whole auto graduation process, created a frozen audit for those students that graduate, which I recommend that you do anyways. And then they would take those and turn them into a PDF and loaded that PDF into BDM. I'd be interested to see if that's what Sierra is doing. That's kind of like the final step, updating Shawdegger, getting that frozen audit, making it a PDF, and then putting it in your document imaging system. Now that's what we did that as well. Now we didn't have the wherewithal to be very automatic with it. And you're going to laugh when I say this, but we would freeze them, update Dagger, create a PDF, print it out, and scan that printout into our document imaging system. I wouldn't really recommend that, but we weren't at the point where we could get it into. I wanted it in the document imaging system so as a permanent record, but we weren't able to electronically do that. But that's what Dave worked on with that other school, and
I know with Sierra and Shaw Dacre, they're actually pushing they created a new acronym for the degrees awarded via the auto awarding route, so that they would be able to easily tell which ones were manually petitioned for and which ones were automatic.
Gotcha. Okay, so they have a code in Shaw Dacre that says it's an auto awarded.
Yeah. So they're pushing back into Banner too. That's
what we talked with the other schools about is once you put it in your document imaging system, and that would be a time where you could delete the frozen audits. Once you've got it saved in there, you may not ever want to have to. You may not want to take up that space in DAP audit detail, and instead push it as a frozen audit, or push it as a BDM into the BDM. So.
Yeah, because obviously with CPOS, we're going to have a lot more frozen audits to deal with.
Right. Yeah.
And if you have, I've seen schools, one of the switches in CPOS is to freeze it. And I don't know if Melody, if you looked at that, was it SFP CPOS table in Banner, and it's got a freeze button in there. And I've seen schools keep that on. So every time they run the CPOS process, it's freezing that audit.
I don't remember what we have it set to, but I remember we talked about it. I just remember us talking about how many we wanted to keep as well, like what the limit was.
Yeah. Well, I would be careful with that button and only freeze it when you're ready to apply the financial aid.
I remember
CPOS a lot of times.
I remember the issue we had with CPOS, which I don't remember if it's still an issue now, but it was running it against how many degrees, because I think if I remember correctly, CPOS automatically just runs it off of the primary only. Right?
Yeah, something like that.
And we had an issue with that just because we were letting students have as many. Now we finally limited it to, I think we debated on 20 or something ridiculous still, but we got it down. It's still a high number. But
a student can have 20 degrees?
Yeah. And if we have some we have a lot that have around 4 or 5. It's because we also have each GE pattern for transfer is a cert. So they'll tend to have.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So for those students, they check in, but they don't check out.
Yeah. Well, it's another way to carry your financial aid longer. And so they purposely change majors or add additional majors to be able to stretch their aid out. But CPOS would only look at the primary, if I remember correctly. And so we were having courses not paid because they weren't part of primary. I think that's where we got stuck last time, Jeff.
I don't know, Melody. I don't know if that's, I don't know enough about CPOS to tell you.
All right, then. That sounds good.
All righty. Well, like Jeff said, you got my pager number. So, and Jeff, I'll get a write up to you here in the next couple of days, and then be ready.
Sounds good.
And you had said that they were going to do a dry run next week. Is that the plan, or for the?
Oh yes. So I need to send something to Ed. Touch base. Yeah. So plan to do a dry run.
Okay.
The cutover.
Okay.
How exciting.
And then it may stretch out during multiple days, but just kind of get a dry run.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, keep me posted on that, and if you need anything, let me know. And then I'd be interested to find out what your ticket says about the extracts.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. Not too much. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and you know what though, Jeff, that might solve itself with 503. That might just be your system, because we weren't seeing that problem in test. So we might be okay.
Okay. Okay.
But I'd still be interested to see why we were getting that. You were getting that. So.
Yeah, so we need to run that. Actually, yeah. So so probably need to run that same test in 503. Probably before putting in a ticket, because they don't like working on tickets that are 415.
Yeah, well, but when we ran an individual RAD 30 and 503, they were working fine. They were coming back and not extracting him if they weren't supposed to.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
So you may not even have to put a ticket in if you don't want to.
Oh, okay. All right.
And let's see what happens with the conversion.
Okay. Yeah, but I think I saw with the banner extract. Oops. I think I saw with the banner extract that the nighttime one on 503 that it was still giving a large population for the 8 hash and whatever.
Okay, applicant hash and the 8 hash.
8
Okay.
hash.
Okay.
Yeah.
You fired that off earlier today, though, right?
I think I did. Yeah, let me see. So, oh yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Did you hunt the deer heads behind you yourself?
Yeah, my son is a hunting guide, and so I don't know if you've ever heard of the King Ranch, but he's a wildlife biologist on the King Ranch.
Oh, that's cool. I've been watching the show called Yellowstone. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh my God, yeah, that's them. That's my son could fit right in.
I love that show. Okay.
So
Cool.
Hopefully not one of the bad ones, but
right.
that's him.
So
he's got the beard and the cowboy hat. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the King Ranch is big down tip.
Yep.
Texas, right?
Yeah. The part he manages, it's like 30,000 acres. It's a lot.
So it's like a modern day Dutton Ranch.
Yeah. It is. Hopefully without all of the
the murder,
the issues. So, yeah, the King Ranch is about 1 million acres altogether. But,
that's cool.
And
that's
so
amazing.
he just manages the wildlife part of one of those. And so whenever they have what they call cull deer, he'll let me shoot those, and that's what that one is.
Cool.
Yeah, we love Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm. That's our nighttime routine.
Yeah, so I used to be that there was no law in that area, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like
they have their own. They have their own law down there, Jeff. Their own sheriff, their own fire department. So like, I can't go in there without him. So I was there this weekend. I went down there to visit him.
Yeah, so yeah, you know what? Actually, I think it might be working okay in 503.
I would bet it is, since our individual ones ran okay.
Yeah, because it's not showing that hash. Let me just show you. Well, just a second. Let me just share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
And yeah. So this is the file, and it's actually running like 9 processes. So,
Yeah, because it's set to 10. It's set to 10 on the development on the test system.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then here is just showing.
Yeah, so only 6 students got changed. See, that's the way it should work. 4 minutes for the whole thing. See, that's running it all through plus doing the DAP 22s, and it only did a DAP 22 on those 6 students.
Oh, okay.
Very promising.
Yeah, that's good. That looks good.
Yeah, so maybe we just kind of manage until we do the upgrade.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably true. So.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we'll be talking to you guys next week, and everybody else have a great rest of your day, and enjoyed working with you folks this week.
You too.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you then.
Bye-bye. I'm going to turn off recording now and send it to you.
Thank you very much.